All right, so we're back here on another overreaction Monday where hot takes and hyperbole is welcome. I got my man Jeff. It's a victory Monday for you, man.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of these in the last, I don't know, 19 years in Miami. So, yeah, it felt pretty good, man.
Yes, a great victory over the San Francisco 49ers. Guys went to Santa Clara and just laid a smackdown on them.
It wasn't even close. Wasn't
I
even
know, man. It was great, and obviously with me, it's another victory, not a victory, but it's a defeat, a loss Monday. I know what you would consider a loss. It's a non-victorious Monday for me. I put it this way, as my beloved Washington football team lost again to the LA Rams, and the losing streak continues four straight now, and
Yeah, that's tough.
we're here. Yeah,
Not the best. Not the best day for Washington, but you know what? If there's got to be a division to where you want to do that, that's the one.
yeah, big time. But yeah, it was a crazy hard. I don't even it wasn't even a hard fought. So it was just hey,
And you know what?
Yeah.
Silver lining. We talked about it yesterday on your show,
Yep.
man. I mean, we can feel good for Alex Smith for a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially like, I won't step on your show, but like juxtapose at the Alex Smith story and the Dak Prescott story. That's like a movie script. I'm like, that's a cruel movie script, man. What's going on?
Yeah, and I know and that's one thing too. And we, before we continue, and what's crazy is it was funny because after we did the show, and it's weird because I never watch 4 o'clock games for some bizarre reasons. I'm so caught into my Washington football team. I do crazy stuff, Jeff. And this is I would listen to our post game shows I would listen to the teams.
I got
Game radio show, and that's just be the fandom. I'm the crazy one. I'm the one that's so involved in their team where it's like no one else matters. So it's to a point.
I'm a Buckeyes fan, man. I get it.
Yeah, definitely where they're like the only gig in town for me. So after we wrapped up and did the show, I didn't listen to any of our Washington football team stuff after show stuff. After we did our show.
Right.
So I'm, editing, chopping up the stuff, that I put to Instagram, and then I see this injury with Dak Prescott, and remember we were all in the chat, and I literally I swear because I didn't actually see the play itself. I already seen him on the ground, and I'm thinking, well, did he just take his shoe off, not knowing that the ankle broke?
Yeah.
Because you know how like you take your shoe off.
What was still in his shoe?
Right. And that's why I was like, oh man, it was just so disheartening.
Horrific.
And it is. And it's just you look at it and it's just so disheartening the fact you see a guy like that who was on a record to have a record setting year. He was on the verge. And I actually mentioned it coincidentally the night before, which all of this is just like it's kind of a weird way of kind of how all that kind of happened. We did a show. We were talking about the Cowboys on the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then the Dak injury happened literally right after we got off air. And because I remember because I think we finished up around about 5:30. I think the injury happened right before 6.
I went upstairs from the show. I left.
Yep.
I left my luxurious studio. I drove home, went inside, and it happened like right after that.
Yeah, it happened right after, and it was just so bizarre.
And I can't handle that stuff. And I was like, oh, my wife's like, what happened? I'm like, that's Dak's foot's on backwards. Like, there's no denying this one. Like, I didn't watch it twice. I accidentally saw it the first time. And man, I hate that. I hate any athlete getting hurt. I don't care. Never rooted for an athlete to get hurt. That's
me either. And that's one thing too. As even being a rival, I never wish that on no one. Like, because to me, at the end of the day, sports is entertainment to me. For a young man like him, to everything that has happened to him, as far as the mental health situation. Then his brother passing away this year, months ago. Not even just this calendar year, but months ago. Not this isn't like something. This is that just happened months ago. Yeah, and then when we look at sports in essence kind of as a respite from these type of situations, and then you lose that as well. So
that's a good.
Yeah.
And then you factor in the whole, like, you got to factor in the contract part and the whole conversation about that. Like, what just a horrific scenario. But hey, they great doctors. He's a young, tough guy. He'll be back. It might take him a couple years to get back to the level, especially financially. But he'll do it. He'll do it. He's endured more than this. This is physical. This is probably easier for him than anything. He'll be fine. I got faith in him.
Oh yeah, I think he's gonna be fine, and I think he's gonna bounce back. But it's still just tough to see him in this predicament. And the thing about it, if you have a silver lining, the surgery's already done, so now the healing process happens immediately. So that's if you're looking at it from a silver lining standpoint, hey, the surgery now is more so now just getting rehab, and I think they say about a 4 to 6 month healing time as far as recovery time. So
it'll be fine. You have a good training camp. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine.
And he'll be ready in time. What are you looking at from a 6 month perspective? Worst case scenario, August, not August, but April, April-ish. Yeah, right around April. Yeah, so it'll be spring. He'll be back in the spring, and hey,
Oh yeah, for sure.
So so definitely, prayers out to Dak, and I'm glad that he's okay. And even the picture, I think that picture of him and his brother, smiling, smiling, and all of it, just seeing him in good spirits. And I haven't seen him going to the wheelchair, and not wheelchair, but to the ambulance, and him, he had good spirits, and during that time. So, prayers up for him, and just hope hope he's hope this situation, praying for him mentally and physically.
Yeah, we'll probably get him on the podcast. He's going to have some rehab time. He's going to be around the house. I think we get Dak.
We should. Yeah, we could. We speak it to existence. Things happen.
Absolutely.
As we have all have encountered in our conglomerate at this point. Of our council, of our colleagues, we have developed the power of speaking things into existence, and things are working into our fruition. So
we're futurists.
Yes. But that comes with hard work and determination, and that's what we all possess. All the guys here.
I pretty much just lucked into everything.
No. Trust me, we all got here for a reason. It's work, and trust me, you working.
I'm trying.
You working. I'm telling you, you working.
You might be ready to fight me in a couple of days when the rankings.
Hey, no, who I need to be fighting is that damn team. That's the problem. You just call it how you see it, and trust me. Everybody sees that this team should be at least cracking the bottom in the 30s. The way this team has been playing these last 4 weeks, but yeah. So let's stop talking about the L's. We gotta stop talking about the L's. We gotta get at least to the positive part.
Let's get some caffeine.
So yes, let's get the happiness going on, because this is Overreaction Monday. We're gonna lament on these losses. Trust me, we're gonna have plenty of time to do that. Yeah. So let's talk about the wins, man. So who was your biggest winner, in week 5?
Okay. So real quick, Dolphins, great game, like a legitimate. You went out, went out to Santa Clara, kicked 49ers ass. Great game. Loved it. I don't care. If they took Garoppolo out, it was great. It was the best looking game they've played in a long time. And I know it's not sustainable. I know this isn't every week, but it was fun. I don't get a lot of as a rebuilding, a team that tanked and all this rebuilding, I don't get a lot of fun games just to enjoy. Had a blast watching it. Seahawks, that was just thanks for a great game last night. Russ, as Coach said, how'd you put it, Coach?
What did I say about Russ?
I can't remember now, but
I have to think about it too. What did I say about?
Yeah, but anyway, so my biggest winner actually was I had to narrow it down to one, but just David Carr and the Raiders. Ruggs, great draft pick that won you a game yesterday. Ruggs won you a game yesterday. Everybody questions why you draft a receiver when you do. That kid won him a game yesterday against a Kansas City team that nobody could find a loss on Kansas City's schedule. Week 5, the Raiders give them a solid loss, and I watched the game like it. It was solid, like really impressive. So I think the Raiders got to feel the best about themselves.
Yeah.
Took down a champ.
Yeah. But so I got 2 winners. So obviously I'm gonna just keep it a buck. What you guys did yesterday impressed the hell out of me. I'm not gonna front. And I understand people are gonna say, well, they lost to a team like San Francisco that's devoid of talent. Mm-hmm. But you gotta remember, your AFC East brethren, New York Football Jets, they got beat by 18 points, 13 and 31.
It wasn't that close.
And it wasn't even that close. And that was just right. And you gotta think about it. They were in that predicament where it's like all this happened on the fly. So this could have been situations where they could have took advantage of it. But still, yeah.
And it was out of hand early.
Right.
It wound up being 43-17, but it was early.
Right.
I'm watching the red zone, because obviously I don't live in Miami. And, every time they go back to the red zone, they weren't even scoring in the red. They were scoring in the green zone. Like they were everywhere on the field. Good for them. Good for their coach, because a coach can take that back to his team and say, see, this is our potential, all the time. Like, against San Francisco is a nasty defense. They're still a physical, nasty defense. That's not easy. I don't care. Nobody else did that yesterday. Let's put it that way.
Correct. And that's my biggest thing and that's what people, and somebody say, oh, you play San Francisco 49ers. I mean, you say that team that's devoid of talent. No, Kyle Shanahan is he's a well-coached, that's a well-coached team led by Mike Shanahan. I mean, by Kyle Shanahan. And to me, I look at it from that standpoint of, trust me, that San Francisco team, they're going to be in games. They're going to be in games regardless of who's there. That's one thing with John Lynch. He has created such great depth on that team. To me, I don't care who's on that field. You win 43-17, and you go 4,000 miles away from Miami to Northern California, and you beat this San Francisco 49ers. I don't care who's on the team. Jeff Garcia. I don't care. Troy Smith, your boy Troy Smith. I don't care I don't care who's there. You get a victory like that on the road like that, take it.
Why is my camera messing up?
You take it, and you take it with a grain of salt. It was a great victory.
Loved every second of it.
Yeah. And then another victory, like you talked about earlier, the Las Vegas Raiders went into Arrowhead, and surprisingly, and that's a good thing, and that's the crazy thing about it. You look at what Oakland now; they're now 3-2.
Yeah.
And their only 2 losses are two caliber playoff teams in the Buffalo Bills and potentially the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
This was we call it a measure stick game, where you look at it from the standpoint of, this is a team that kind of came on at the end of someone in the midsection of the season, the meat of the season, they were kind of contenders. Now I think it's going to be a situation where having a win like this gives them great momentum. And the only thing that sucks about it, because they have a bad week next week. So that's another thing too, where you're like, it sucks for them to have a bad week, especially
they might, though. I mean,
and they could galvanize them
next week. They might have to play the Titans at the
right.
I mean, I don't know who's playing who. I was supposed to have a game at 5 o'clock today. There's no game on.
Right. Who knows?
That was a great pick. And Ruggs, man, really impressed by Ruggs. I'm always I'm always down on drafting wide receivers high, especially because of speed. But he won him the game yesterday. It was the difference maker. So I was just wrong about that. Copycat league. They probably watch. You watch Tyreek Hill for the last 3 years. Why not go get that game breaker? And it totally worked. So I might have to start rethinking that philosophy, my draft philosophy on wide receivers. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and that's one thing too where they looked really good yesterday, and that's another thing where and what's funny about that division because we always thought to ourselves like, well, who's gonna compete with this Chiefs team because they're to me they're the offensive track meet. So who's going to win the track meet in those situations, and who's going to be the team to kind of be at least a second fiddle? And we look at the Raiders as probably the next in line. I mean, as far as
the Raiders secondaries, more importantly, the safeties bothered Mahomes a little bit.
Yes,
they were he threw an interception there towards the end that he just doesn't do. I was really impressed with Las Vegas, man. That'll take me a while to get used to that. I just got used to the two Los Angeles teams, and now we got a Las Vegas team. Like, come on.
I know. We got like the LA Chargers, the LA.
I'm right. I still call Arizona Phoenix, and I still call the Rams St. Louis. Like, I'm all over the map. But anyway, it's Las Vegas safeties. Great game they played. Really impressive game. I was happy I called him David Carr. It's not David Carr.
Oh, it's Derek. Yeah, Derek. Yeah. All of it, tomato.
I apologize, Derek. I really did. Yeah, exactly, Stephen.
Right.
That was impressive. It was really impressive. They got enough pressure on him with 4 down linemen. But that doesn't work against Mahomes, though. It never works. Every team does that. It never works.
Right. And that's the thing, too, where they was able to kind of crack Da Vinci's code in a sense.
Yeah, I bet.
Because that's what you look at, like, well, because essentially, like, if you blitz, because you're like, okay, well, somebody gonna be, because like we talked about the track meet, where you can do all you want and blitz them and try to get that, but that's gonna leave somebody open. That's gonna leave somebody, and if one of them speeds get open, it's a cloud of dust.
But yesterday the Raiders looked like that team. They really looked like flip teams yesterday. It was crazy. But, I mean, once again, you know what? No, never mind. It's Overreaction Monday. So Chiefs are in trouble. They cracked. My note was even Chiefs were figured out. You said it. They cracked Da Vinci's code. Chiefs are figured out. They're in trouble. They got the blueprint. There's a blueprint.
Yes. Yeah. So let's get to the losses.
Big list this week.
Yes, a major list. There
we go. I can see myself.
The biggest losers.
Oh man. So there's a few. A lot of these correspond. Of course, every week I gotta say, my man Trevor Lawrence.
Woo.
The Jets are so bad. Jacksonville looks worse every day. Washington's not doing him any favors. If you're Trevor Lawrence, you got to be like, what is happening right now? You know what I mean? So anyway, I always say Trevor Lawrence. 49ers, of course. You took another loss. The hangover's real. I honestly, I've kind of just wrote them off the playoffs this year. You can just kind of see the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to call him a loser, but it's Overreaction Monday. Joe Burrow finally took a spoonful of, the real world. The Ravens, he had no idea what was going on yesterday in the Ravens game. Tough game for a rookie, but he finally had to take a step back. He's been on a streak. You know what I mean? Between LSU last year, he had 300 game yards, 300-yard games in a row this year. And he finally took a little bit of like, the real world. He got beat up a little yesterday, threw some terrible interceptions. And of course, not to beat a dead horse, man, but Washington, that was the most uninspiring. I don't know. That was a rough one. That was just a rough game.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely shout out to our guy, Steven. He's breaking the game. He's breaking the game on Overreaction Monday as well.
Obviously,
Cowboys, obviously with the injury with Dak.
I'll full disclosure, I just don't want to. It's a little too serious to laugh at, even as much as I hate the Cowboys. You know what I mean? But if it was a sprained ankle or something, I'd be having more fun with the Cowboys. But I'm trying to tiptoe around that because I love Dak so much. But yeah, he's not right though. As far as like for the season, obviously losing one of the best quarterbacks in the league is huge. Huge.
And their leader. And one of their leaders.
Thanks for taking that one for me, Steven. Steven, I didn't.
Right. And then also he mentioned the Falcons. And
what a mess.
Yes, what a mess. And that'll lose my point as well. I had the Falcons as also the biggest. But luckily, they had a first quarter lead, but at least they didn't have a late lead. So you can find solace in the fact that, hey, you know, we was up 7-0, and then I think they scored like 20 straight points, and then we try to come back and end up losing 23-16.
Man,
but and even in the silver lining, and it's funny now we're doing back-to-back weeks where coaches are being fired, and you know we talked about last week.
True.
We talked about Lil Bill and Bill O'Brien being fired last week, and now Dan Quinn is fired in Atlanta, and also another Bill Belichick disciple and Thomas Dimitroff, the general manager, is gone. Mini Bill.
And Houston does get a win.
Houston gets a win, yes. Shout out to Romeo Crennel, the ageless wonder.
I did not realize he was that old.
Me neither.
Oldest coach. I think they said. I swear I couldn't have been ever. But yeah, I know he's the oldest coach.
I think the oldest coaches in the league.
I might have said ever at one point.
I didn't even know he was 70-something.
Yeah, he's 73, 74 years old. So good for Romeo, man.
I'm like, dang. I was like, Romeo up there, but I didn't think that.
You know, you forget about guys like him. But I never want to talk about somebody's money, but I think Romeo's did all right. Like, hasn't he he's had a couple head coaching jobs, which that's the best thing you want to do is be a fired head coach. You make tons of money being a fired head coach.
Right.
Coordinator for the Super Bowl teams. I like that guy.
Yeah, because he ended up going to college at one point, didn't he? Did he go to college?
I don't even remember. Probably.
I probably did. But
is he on that Charlie Weiss plan?
I know, right? Big Charlie.
Charlie Weiss getting paid by 3 teams.
Man, what a great place! What a wonderful life!
Speaking of biggest winners, I'm gonna rewind this real quick.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's a little shout out to your UNC Tar Heels.
Woo!
What
in the country?
What an impressive game, man!
Yes.
I don't want to skip out on that. That was something, man. I was happy for you. They look good. Their jerseys.
Oh man,
their uniform combos are they rival nobody.
Man, it was great, and I just want to keep the momentum going. We going to Florida State next week. Well, Saturday, and then you look at this and I don't want to put the cart before the horse. You ever heard that before, Jeff?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, then you think about it. Alabama and Georgia plays this week, so somebody's going to lose in that matchup.
Yeah, we're gonna get that Wednesday night. I don't know if you'll be on the show or not, but we're gonna do our pre-weekend Wednesday night, and we're definitely gonna talk about that. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a team from Columbus is eligible in about 2 weeks. So,
but hey, I'll take it until
they look good, man. They look good. They're definitely they're all right. I'm looking forward to their season.
Yeah, it's like 1997 all over again. You know, that's the first time they've been ranked that high since 1997. So
yeah, it would be. Is that Peppers? Is that Julius Peppers?
Yes, Julius Peppers. I think Julius Peppers was there. He probably. I don't know. Well, I'm thinking because Julius Peppers.
You're right. I do.
I think he was. He might. If he was there, he probably might have been a freshman. Because I remember. Okay. Because I know he got recruited by Dean Smith, and I think Dean Smith left in '97.
Right, that's right.
So I'm not sure if
real quick about Julius Peppers. How good do you have to be to play basketball and football at North Carolina?
Correct.
Right. That's not right.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Anyway, shout out to the Tar Heels, man.
And a little bit of UNC trivia. He's like one of the last players to ever get recruited by Dean Smith.
Oh yeah, it would be, man.
Yeah, I was like, that's amazing.
Oh man,
Yeah, he was a legend.
great career too. Great NFL career.
Oh yeah, big time,
Truly great player.
big time. Yes, and
He was
you
one of the first. He was one of the first freaks. He was at the beginning of like him and Javon Curse and those guys started coming in. These athletic freaks that they put on the defensive line and really turned them loose. So that's when it kind of changed over from like the Reggie White style to like that style, if you really think about it. And all these taller, faster, lankier guys came in, and now they're look at Chase Young, look at all these guys now.
Joey, Nick.
Yeah, all these outside, all these edge rushers. So yeah, he was kind of at the beginning of that phase.
Leonard Little. Yeah, I remember Leonard Little.
Oh man,
Yeah.
monster!
Yeah, wow. Yeah, right.
Man. Detroit had a couple of them guys like Porsche. I mean, I know he wasn't great, but like just freakish athletic ability, and so man, I like how you sidetracked, but
yeah, it's funny. Like right, I'm about to feel like Chris Collinsworth. Now here's a guy. But yeah, man. But yeah, it's great. I mean, at least something's going right at this point. But like you said, you guys from Columbus, y'all gonna be in there. Well,
I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be all right. I get to start at midnight Saturday. It's over. Like, it's officially game week. Things are going to turn loose.
I know, and that's something. We kept on thinking like October 24th. Like that's a lifetime from now.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Oh. So, I haven't missed all the stress. But anyway, I'll let you get back.
Yeah. So and then we talked about the Falcons, obviously with that.
Cool.
Then the two biggest losers are the teams that didn't play this week.
Yes.
The two teams that were supposed to play right now as we speak. We were supposed to have a double header of the we was gonna have the Broncos versus the Patriots.
Yeah.
And then guess what? Guess what happens? So they canceled the game yesterday morning as we all woke up in our slumber on Sunday morning. And then they found out, hey, well, week 5 is your bye week. Huh?
Yeah.
What? Like, huh? Like, you mean to tell me I'm getting ready for a game 24 hours before a game, and you tell me the game is canceled, and by the way, your bye week is today.
Yeah, you didn't get any of that time off.
Right.
You didn't get the players enjoy it. So you worked on this. You watched film all week. You did the game plan all week. You installed everything. You build up to it. You're psyched up. Who knows what these guys are putting in their system the night before a game or whatever. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh no, this is your bye week. Like, what? So but then basically that means you got to go back to practice like the next day. Like you just missed a game. That's all you did. You didn't get a bye week. You just missed a game.
And I'm like, how is it? I don't like people say, well, this is a different year. No, I don't care what kind of year this is. This is, to me, this is when it comes to sports. We got to think about the human element.
Yeah.
Because you got to really sit down and think about it. I can understand like what happened, and it's bad because I thought Pittsburgh and Tennessee was bad because they canceled that game Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
At least they can say, okay, if they cancel it Thursday, okay, well, y'all get the rest of the week. You come back Tuesday.
Right.
But just imagine we found out Sunday morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sunday morning. Yesterday morning, they were, in essence, going to bed on Saturday night, in essence, preparing for the game on Monday.
And it wasn't even like posted, like, because when I was going through the scores and everything yesterday, like we were doing our show and stuff, it was like it took forever for them to finally even postpone like on the internet. That's how long, like that's how sudden it was.
Yeah, because what's crazy, because I did my picks. I think I did my picks around like 9:30, 11 o'clock. And before I made the picks, I got an alert saying, and right saying, because I went like all the other sports apps, the one ending 00. They didn't update theirs for 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Everybody, then I found out that it was postponed. I'm like, well, let me not pick that one because obviously that's not gonna happen. But then when I read that's their bye week, they was like, well, the Patriots and the Broncos have a bye week in week 5. I'm like, that's this week.
Yeah.
They don't have a bye week. This week is over.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You just had a day off. I mean, or didn't play. It's not even a day off. You didn't play because now tomorrow they're right back to work today. So
right, because and it adds interest to the insult because at least, and I did not even throw salt in the water to be Dev's advocate, but you already preparing for a Monday night game, so you already thinking, okay, I'm gonna have a short week. Well, no, they were supposed to have a bad week next week, and that's the thing where people.
Yeah, they were. You're right. They lost a bye week and got a short week.
Right. I'm just like, that is just so not fair. Like, and maybe it could be a situation where they might get a guy someday, but still, I don't think that's going to happen. And that's another thing too, where, and I've heard people, because I remember Eric Ebron had a the tight end from Pittsburgh, and he had an issue with the bye week. They're changing. And and then he's like, he had plans for that and third, and then of course the people, the keyboard warriors, talking about something where you're a millionaire, this and third.
What do you care?
All that. This is like, that's why it's like I hate when people. We gotta have the human element when we talk about sports and saying that token, because at the end of the day, that's just like if you're a normal person, you plan a vacation, and then your job tell you. Let's imagine you go on a vacation, and your job tell you 48 hours before, oh, we need you to work next week.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Or and they said your vacation's over.
Right. And then they're not going to be paying for your cancellation fee and vice versa.
Nope.
Right. So I'm like, no, like, you can't be doing that type of stuff. And I was like, that's they in essence are the two biggest losers this week, and they ain't even play a game.
I thought about them actually. And then and so I've heard like so far they're thinking about like adding a week to the season already, and they're saying that they'll push the Super Bowl back as much as like a month. Like now, because now they know like the writing's on the wall. Because now like you're just losing. We talked about it a little bit yesterday on your show, but they're losing these bye weeks. Like you've lost all the wiggle room. So like if this happens again to any of these teams that have already like it's like you. So it's you're right. They didn't get a play. Their schedule got screwed up. Their game plan got screwed up.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And then that's the thing where and the NFL's they're gonna have to do some wiggle room, because we're only in week. Think about it. We're only in week 5.
Through 5 weeks.
We're maybe about 30% away from out as far as the completion of the season. And then you look at all those confusion changes already. That all them changes. That see how that one game became a snowball effect for all these teams, where certain teams are playing in week 7 versus week 8, and that's the thing where, like we talked about, and we've been talking about this since the spring, where the NFL should have been doing their due diligence as far as scheduling and what have you, because this is such a trickle effect. Because
it's crazy.
Right. Because if the Titans, they mess around, their facility close again, and then they go to a high school, and again,
we can't start playing backyard football down at Munson Elementary,
right? And Tennessee might mess around and play like 12 games at this rate, because they got no wiggle room. Like they're at a point, if they screw up one more time, cancel the season.
The NFC East probably like, nah, we'll take the extra. We'll take a bye. Like it's cool. Like we'll play 12 games this year.
At this point, I don't mean to be like this, but COVID might defeat the NFC East at this point. Like, because at this point, I don't know who's gonna win this division.
The LA Rams are in first place
because they went 4-0 against the NFC East.
NFC East has 4 wins.
And that's so funny. We talked about it yesterday. Like how they went. That's you bad. How the Rams went East twice in like a 3-week period and got double-digit wins. Like that never happens. Like
we'll talk about when I get to my overreactions. Like bring up a few things.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's get into those real quick. Let's get that going. So the favorite part of the show is definitely the overreaction. So Jeff, I want your overreactions for week 5 in the NFL.
So we touched on a couple of them. The Dolphins are back. Everything's fixed. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's in Florida, and that's where the Fountain of Youth is supposed to be. He apparently put on Cortez's hat and found it. Dolphins are probably going to be a wild card team. I think they still have a shot at the AFC's title, depending on Cam Newton's situation. Kansas City's been exposed. Like, they figured it out. We got the blueprint now. Apparently you just play cover 2 versus Mahomes. It'll be fine. Like, everything, like, he's in big trouble. He's taking a step back. Mahomes is taking a step back. But the big one is, and I mean this one, AFC North is the best division in football, top to bottom. And that's including the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
I said it was the NFC West, but we've seen what Miami just did to, a good team in the NFC West. The Rams are all right, but they're not. I don't know if they're any better. Well, everybody will find out this week. My rankings come out. Jeff needs sports. Off the ball.com. But so I think the NFC, like, Cleveland is legitimately good football team. Legitimately good football team. We know the Ravens are good. Steelers look good, and their history being good. The Bengals, the Bengals are what the Bengals are. They'll frustrate you at best, but 3 out of 4 really good teams. They got they got 11 wins in that conference.
Mm-hmm.
They got 1 loss between the top 3 teams after 5 weeks. Like, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, not even 11. Shoot, I forgot a week. Yeah, 13 wins. I mean, that's pretty, and they haven't played, all nobody. So yeah, the AFC North is king.
Yeah.
And I'm not an AFC North fan, but it is what it is.
Right. So before we get into my overreactions, definitely Steven definitely said Dak will be in Philly. That's
overreaction Monday.
You are going to rile up fan base in Texas and Philadelphia.
Okay. So since Steven brought it up again, thank you, Steven, for taking all these slings and arrows this week. I do want to go down this rabbit hole a little bit, and I'm not saying that everybody wasn't as sad, about what happened to Dak and all that, but I'm saying business wise, that injury makes it easier on Jerry Jones. I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to say this politely, but it's just it is a business. He was looking at choosing to pay this quarterback $40 million, and now obviously, like, Dak can't ask for $40 million. I mean, not that he's not worth it, but he can't ask for it. Right. And then Jerry was hawing around about keeping him anyway. And I think he'd already decided. If he hadn't decided to keep him by now, like, he wasn't going to keep him. But it makes the negotiation so much worse. So either Jerry's going to get a bargain with Dak Prescott, but if I'm Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones comes at me with, I don't even know what a low number will be next year, but he comes at me with like bottom 10 quarterback money, and I'm Dak, I'm going to go play for anybody, just like Cam Newton did. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a bigger possibility than it was 24 hours ago. I hate that it was because of an injury, but football is a brutal sport, and that's just the truth of it. And, Jerry Jones, as nice of a guy as he is, he'll take care of Dak's medical bills, but when it comes to the negotiation table, he's not throwing down $40 million.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. And then also, he said Dak probably won't come back. And it's probably more likely. I think
that's what happens in these situations, because even he'll take the same money to go somewhere else and then come back and play Jerry. Like, I think that's Dak's mentality. This what happens in these situations. That was my first reaction. And then if you're another team, if you're the Eagles, Washington, whoever, that's like, yeah, I'll pay him. Like, we know that Dak is great. I'll wait a year. So that's how these things go, man. We saw it with Peyton Manning. We saw this happen with Peyton Manning. That dude was out of the league with a neck injury, and Denver's like, nah, we're good, and they got a Super Bowl out of it. I mean, we've already seen it happen. So
right, and like you said, and I think like going into, and I think we kind of alluded to it a little earlier. I think we did this probably pre-show. I don't recall, but I mean, I think you're right. I think the situation where I think Andy Dalton now becomes 1A as far as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC East. I think, and Carson Wentz is maybe a few bad games away from Andy Dalton being the best quarterback in the NFC East.
Yeah, he might be a few quarters. He might be a few minutes away.
Right.
That guy's taking a hit.
and no telling when they play each other going head to head. As far as the matchups, then we look at Andy Dalton might be the best. Andy Dalton could be the potentially, but in the next 3 weeks, could be the best quarterback in the NFC East.
Yeah,
not overreactions.
No, I don't even know if that's an overreaction.
Number 2, this pains me to say this, but the Dwayne Haskins era in Washington is over.
It is.
We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
About the calling out sick, but then I found out something else. Yesterday as I was doing some quote unquote copious TV searching yesterday. So I had this is a tweet from Julie Donaldson, who's from part of the organization. So there was a tweet earlier that morning that said, "Hey, well, Dwayne was at the team hotel during these, during having meetings, and he was, and everything, and then he became sick yesterday morning."
Ooh.
And it was more to paraphrase it, more so he was around the team the last couple of days, and essentially, hence, and then he got sick, and then the doctor told him, and we talked about it yesterday on the post-game show, for him to just stay at home. But to me, he was with the team already. So why would you, in essence, send him home? But he's been around the team. He's been in team meetings. He's been engaged the whole entire week. But then remember, we talked about how he developed these symptoms within the 48-hour period. And he called the doctor, but they said he was at the team hotel. So,
man,
it's over. It's over.
It is, isn't it? It is.
Haskins, yeah. And then I've been hearing reports where they want to try to trade him before the November 3rd trade deadline. So
now I'm going to give you my viewpoint as a not Washington football team fan. And because he was brought in by, a different coach and a different general manager, and then a new guy comes in, I don't have a huge problem with this as far as a team doing this. Like, I would almost rather a team come in and go, man, like, kid, we're not saying that, we're not saying you're bad, but we're just saying you're not our guy. You don't fit, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We'll trade you. So my viewpoint is like, yeah, let's just get this over with. Let him go to another team that, that wants him and feels like that he fits their system. And I just, and a lot of it's because I think he's a fine, person. Obviously all these young guys have, room to grow up and all these things. I understand how that is. I mean, I got a 23-year-old son. I get it. But as a fan, like, it's totally different for you. Like, how do you feel? I mean, that was your franchise quarterback a year ago. Yeah. And now you're going through this again. How many times can you guys go through this?
Yeah, this is 2015 all over again, where if he continue to play on this team, he's going to be a healthy scratch. Just like how RG3 was in his contract before he moved on this team. He's going to be a healthy scratch. I'm almost to a point where I don't even think I'm going to see him on the sidelines at all, because you really sit down and you think about it, and it's kind of weird because, okay, next week, Sunday, the Giants, 25th is the Cowboys, then you got a bye week. So if you trade him essentially on November the 3rd, which is the trade deadline, there's only 2 more games left before the bye week.
Yeah.
I don't think, I'm telling you, I don't think we're going to see Dwayne Haskins on the sidelines going forward. I think they're probably going to send him home. Well, he could go home every game. Yeah. I guarantee you, he's not going to travel to New Jersey next week, and he won't be at the home game against Dallas on the 25th.
Am I wrong? Was he voted a team captain?
Yeah, he was team captain, and it did 4 weeks ago, almost to the day. He has a quote unquote halftime speech. He was the one that spoke, and that's why all of this. Like I said, this is where every day just seems like it's the drama just continues.
It never stops with my team. It never stops.
Like with a tweet saying that, Dwayne was around the whole weekend, and he was at a team hotel and he was at team meetings, and then all of a sudden he develops this quote unquote stomach virus type symptoms.
Yeah,
and going to Steven's point when he said on the post game yesterday, where if he was should have been on the designated list of a COVID, or there's listings for that. So if you would have did it on an abundance of caution, you should have put him on that list.
And another dog whistle is that when these guys, when they go through this with this contract stuff, notice they always it's always a scratch because of something that won't affect them on the football field.
Correct.
Like, it's not a knee, it's not an ankle, it's a stomach flu. That's always a red flag. Like if he got scratched because his knee didn't. No, he ain't saying that. Like they want everybody to know he's healthy. So real quick, let's just go through a couple teams that if they pick up Haskins tomorrow could play him. Is there anybody that would play him, or not tomorrow, but in a couple weeks? Who could he start for the last 6 games of the year?
And I think Steven had a good one.
I think
the Jets, because look, they put Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco started yesterday. Joe Flacco started yesterday.
Full credit to Steven. He was on this yesterday, and if this happens, breaking the game, Stephen Gillespie was all over this story.
Right. He Adam Scheftered. Right. He hit us with a breaking the game bomb.
Oh man, it's. I mean, the thing is that it makes the most sense.
And because we talked about it, and the crazy thing about it is when you sit down and you really think about it, they just started Joe Flacco.
And Joe don't care.
And Joe don't care.
Joe's got 3 swimming pools. He don't give a shit.
Joe ain't cared since 2013.
Nope.
Let's be 100% real.
As soon as they signed that, and no offense, he had one of the best postseasons I ever saw. But as soon as he signed that contract, he was out.
I don't blame him. Hey,
nope.
He was already underpaid anyway from the jump. Hey, I look at it. It's karma.
They should have paid him.
They should have paid him from the jump. But yeah.
Nope.
So who else? I can see him playing. Call me crazy. I wouldn't I can see him playing in San Francisco in a weird way.
Ooh, I like
now when you got everybody's favorite grandson and CJ Beathard, as we all know him. And no, he's not CJ. Well, what is his name? What's his name? The grandson.
Yeah, Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby. Yeah, CJ. Yeah, CJ is his name.
Yeah,
Bobby's grand. Yeah, Bobby. Yeah, Bobby Beathard. Everybody's favorite grandson.
I'm looking here. I got. And here's the thing, though. You have injuries too. I hate to say it, but he could go to Dallas just to we need another quarterback. I mean, I'm just saying, the only problem you have with Haskins is money. He's a first round talent. He's not cheap.
Yeah.
So they have ways to figure that out. I'm not one of these contract guys. They have ways to defer that money and stuff and not eat all that. But man, that's a good point. See, I would like to see him with a team that runs an offense. We talked about this a lot yesterday with the Rams or something. An offense built to get the ball out of his hand, easy reads. A lot of fullbacks, a lot of tight ends. You know what I mean? To get this young man, he's got a cannon. I understand, but in the NFL, it doesn't matter because I talked about it yesterday. You don't have 3 seconds to throw the football, so it doesn't. You can throw it 80 yards all you want, but you don't have time to throw it that far. So. I don't think that's a bad choice. I mean,
and I'm looking at other ones.
Man, there's not a lot, man. That
Steven's point where they send him to Dallas, I don't think he would go to Dallas.
Nah, probably not.
Because what other teams I can see?
It's going to be an injury. I mean, let's face it. If it's not the Jets, it's going to be an injury.
And I don't think they're going to be able to trade him because, like you said, I think the price tag and then plus the simple fact that everybody knows, and that's the thing, and that's almost and that's another thing too, where everything gets convoluted, and this is how they do this. They just do bad business because why would I give an asset for a guy you don't even want?
You've already said you don't want him.
You telling the boy who got a stomach flu that may just have diarrhea.
They just had.
Stay home.
I don't know.
And I'm not a NFL general manager. Why in the hell would I get rid of a draft pick for a guy that you essentially don't even want? Yep. You let this kid just stay home because he had a stomach flu.
What I would have done if I wanted to trade him, I would have put him out there and said, hey, we're going to lose this game, but we're going to try and get you 500 yards.
Correct.
and then we're going to trade you. You know what I mean? Like, look at Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott had one win this year, but the dude had 2,000 yards passing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right, and then like this case, this man threw 300. Even though he didn't score any touchdowns, he didn't throw interception. He threw 300 yards on that Baltimore defense, and then he went from there to being third string quarterback. And you think I'm gonna have the balls to be like, hey, give me a 7th-round pick for him?
yeah,
like what the hell?
you think Detroit's moving on? They're going to Detroit would be a nice spot. Put him behind Stafford. Stafford's, he's 12 years in. I'm just, you never know, man. These things happen quick.
Yeah, because like now as a general manager, I would just at this point, if it would have to be a very, very pressing need. Like you said, it would have to be injury before I would even consider a trade talk with him, because at the end of the day, we know like
I take him in Miami right now.
I mean, he could be don't ruin him, because he could be like Josh Rosen. We know two of the long-term answers.
Where's Josh at, man? I feel bad for that kid.
He's in Tampa, man. He's living his life in Tampa. He's
now. That's right. That's right.
In Tampa now on the practice squad at that, which is
to be fair though. He's probably a fine young man, but I never saw that in Rosen when he was when he was out in California. Like those California quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, I know Goff, like they're doing fine, but I never bought that Rosen in that air raid. That was weird. If you're going to draft Josh Rosen, put him in an air raid
or something.
Like, what are you doing? I mean, what a weird fall through the cracks guy.
And then the sad thing about it is he's top 10 pick, and they trade up to get him.
That's money. I mean, good for him, man.
Right.
He's on that Matt Leinart plan. He's on that Matt Leinart.
Right, and that's the thing too, where he can turn his career around. He's young, and then you just look at being around like a guy like a Bruce Arians who can help him going forward.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing too. And I think Haskins gonna be the same way. I think if he gets around a bunch of offensive-minded guys, I think the skies could be the limit for him, because I think that's what I liked about like Cal. Even though they didn't they weren't an RG3 guy, but what they did was they stuck to plays that RG3 was familiar with, and they kind of essentially assimilated Art Brow's offense in Baylor to kind of to help him out, and that was really the genius to me in Cal Shanahan, where he kind of worked with him despite the issues, and that's I think the biggest issue with a lot of these guys where. I just feel for him, because it's like it's almost like a doggy dog world where, these guys, if you don't implement my system, then you out, versus, well, what is his strengths? What is his weaknesses? What kind of plays can we implement in that? Could it be a situation, like you said, I know you're talking about, like we talked about him not releasing the ball at certain times, but could he do a certain situation where you can kind of implement it? Like, to me, and that's the thing too, is like to me, why the hell you bringing in your boy Urban Meyer just to do some consult? No, I want, if I'm Daniel Snyder and I'm all them, this is what I want you to do. I want you to spend the whole day with me, you and Ryan Day if possible. I want y'all to tell me what you see the good and bad in Dwayne.
Yeah.
What can we do to help him implement it? But that's the thing, where a lot of these teams don't do stuff like this, because at the end of the day, it's about ego.
Yeah,
like you just bringing in Urban Meyer just for show. I would have been like, look, Urban, let's just sit down. what you see, and that's crazy thing about it. Even in that game, that's why I figured, like, okay, well, even in that Philly game, and they were a playoff team, and he played pretty good. I mean, he was almost to a point where we almost won that game.
And he was never an Ohio State type quarterback. Like, they built an offense for him, and he was fantastic. But he was not like. That was not the type of Urban Meyer, like that. Urban Meyer had nothing to do with, the last two quarterbacks at, Ohio State. Not in a negative way, just he turned it over to but I see like Haskins, if he's in Arizona right now, they can, like Kingsbury, he'd be fine. You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of coaches that would, and then, you talk about RG3. If I take first year RG3 and I put him in Shanahan's offense now in San Francisco in this day and age, he's excelling.
Yeah.
It's such a right place at the right time, situation. Like Haskins he's just a run and shoot guy. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
snap the ball and let him sling it. That's what he's made to do. But no, I'm not
Right.
saying he's going to be a Super Bowl quarterback. But there's some bad quarterbacks out there playing.
Right. And that's the thing where when you sit down and you think about it, he's a first round draft pick. So you have to make that investment. I mean, and it's almost, back when we talked about last week, not last week, but yesterday. Essentially, you got to think about it like a house. You have to make sure the foundation is solid, because all you're really doing is you're putting a roof on a broken home.
Yep.
That was, like you said, with no walls.
And I'll tell you something else real quick to jump on this, because I talked a lot about this last year. And I won't say it's a mistake. You got to draft the best player you got to draft. But I worried about this with Chase Young too. He is the type of guy that it sounds easy, but he needs a lead to be at his best. So when you have a team that's not up 14, 21 points or whatever, then all of a sudden they're running the ball, then there goes your pass rush, and there goes your, so I worried about that when they drafted him ahead of help for Dwayne or whatever. Not that you don't take the best guy, but I saw it at Ohio State last year too. I'm like, well, yeah, he was always turned loose because the other team is always like, fighting to, keep in the game. So, for instance, like when Bosa goes to San Francisco, like he's a star because, they're competitive in all the games. Then all of a sudden, the opposing quarterback's dropping back to throw the ball. He's a target. As to where this year with Washington, low scoring games, the other team can run the ball. They can nullify a pass rush, so just to point out, like, I'm not saying you don't draft him, but this is a worry you have when you draft pass rushers, when you draft edge rushers.
Yeah, and you see what, like, and it's almost, and that harpens your point to what happened yesterday, where essentially it was non-existent. Well,
Right.
it was really no, as far as no rush, and to a point where Jared Goff had free range.
Yep. You spread your offensive line out. You know what I mean? You go wide. You nullify it if you have a lead. So it's it's just something that something else I noticed too. That's always a worry. That's why I'm always like with teams, like, unless you have, a playoff offense, I worry when you draft edge rushers. Now, if you want to draft a linebacker, maybe a defensive back, but edge rushers they're integral, but they're the last piece of the puzzle. And we talked about building the house. You know what I mean? Like this guy. So basically, Washington's got a finished basement and a leaky roof.
Right.
Like,
exactly. Right.
Right. Like, man, that's 70-inch, big screen looks good, but you don't have electric. You know what
right,
I mean?
Right.
They're out of sorts to go back to your house now. But we're not here to bash on Washington all night. I apologize, everybody.
But no, but it's the truth though, and this is a good interesting point with Steven too. Haskins to Indy, which
like it.
Team him up with Frank Wright there, and then I did also, and even though Paris Campbell's out, him and Paris Campbell were lighting it up in Ohio State.
Yeah, that was fun.
And so you're right. So Paris Campbell, the pride of Akron, Ohio, it was the add on, but
they invented St. Mary's, I believe.
Yeah, so Paris Campbell, and that's another thing too, where you can get kind of the familiarity with Paris Campbell in Indy, and then also Frank Wright as well. He's a quarterback whisperer.
We've already talked about it. Unless Washington's going to eat money, though, it just doesn't match up. That's just the whole problem. Like, basically, if you want Haskins right now, you are quote unquote drafting him because you're going to give up a draft pick. And we talked about, like, with a few weeks ago with St. Louis. See, I'm so Los Angeles Rams, when they took Ramsey, they essentially drafted him. They gave up first-round draft pick, but they got a good starting cornerback. Right. So when you take these guys, you're essentially drafting them because you're losing the draft pick that you could have, used on a guy. It makes it so hard, So essentially, what he's going to wind up doing, so he's probably a rookie contract's like what, typically 3-4. I think it's a 4-year deal. So he's going to be in limbo, just like Rosen. He's going down the Josh Rosen path for the next couple of years, and then unless he's like Cam made enough to take that pay cut, they don't all want to do that, and then it's a downhill spiral. Like the guy's going to make $30 million, and they're going to be like, hey, we'll give you $1 million. He might just be like, nah. I mean, we've seen it. I hope that's not how it goes, but it is tough to trade for first round picks.
Yeah, and the thing with him, like you said, and going back to Steven's point, where if it's a potential that you can get a third or a fourth. I know Josh Rosen got a third when he went to y'all,
Yeah.
and so
Now look,
potential. But the thing,
that's a wasted. I mean, that's exactly why you don't do it.
And a part of me is almost like, would you even be willing? And that's the thing too, because I can see if there was somewhat of a value for Haskins, where because they're gonna get low ball regardless. So that's another thing too, where I wish they would have played this a little bit different. Where, like, if you would have said, hey. Because I think in a normal circumstance, if you still would have been playing, you could have potentially got a third or fourth round pick. But now the spin behind it, and then the whole thing is, it's almost like it's it's part of them. I think they kind of somewhat a part of the plan in the sense where they're going to get like pennies on a dollar for them, and essentially just try to get out the deal any way they can. Which, yeah,
the other side of that is, are we completely wrong? And they know all this because, I mean, I'm not saying they're brilliant, but they get to where they're at for a reason. Is this all just like playing this game, and then in 3 weeks from now, Haas is going to be starting, and we're going to be like, because Ron Rivera is a little bit of that type. He's a little old school to where try and teach guys lessons the hard, play these. We saw him do it with Cam Newton. And that was his best quarterback, that he's ever had. So it's the possibility that they have no intentions on getting rid of him. And they're trying to break him down and build him up situation. I don't know.
Because at this point, like I was saying earlier, he only has 2 more cracks at it, which he probably won't get the 2 cracks because you think about it, the trade deadline is November 3rd. So you're not going to and you only got 2 more games essentially because obviously we had a bad week on November the 1st. So to me, I do. Part of me would think he could get another shot, but after hearing all this stuff about this whole situation of him being, it's just really weird. The whole thing of him being sick and them telling him to just stay home. It's almost like I feel like he's going to be deactivated. Like almost like this feels like Keyshawn Johnson and John Gruden all over again.
Yes.
It's kind of reeks that, and it almost reeks on right. And I'm almost to a point where I don't even think he's even going to be. I would be totally surprised if he traveled with this team this week.
Give him a call. I've actually talked to him on Twitter a couple times. Maybe I'll hit him up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give him a ring. Give him a ring.
I know we can't. I can't. I tried to mention him on Instagram, and it was blocked.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, he was still at Ohio State. I forget what it was, but we had a back and forth. He's a nice kid, but he is a kid. So good luck, Dwayne.
Absolutely. Wait, he's only 23, 24 years old?
Yeah, he's fine.
He's there. Yeah, he's gonna be all right. That's why I say he's gonna be fine. So let's put a bow on this week's Overreaction Monday. Who gets this week's game ball for you?
Man, I thought about it. I could. This is so easy, but I watched the game, and we're talking 102 seconds left, pouring down rain, 50 degrees. You got over 90 yards to go. Russell Wilson had one of the best game-winning drives I've ever watched, and it sounds like hyperbole. It was not. It was so good. Him and Metcalf. That was my man. That was my first guy. But he doesn't waver. He gets to. He had a couple huge fourth down, conversions. They had what should have been a touchdown on third down. Metcalf, can't hold on to it. It was actually a good defensive play, but he doesn't. Russell goes right back to the huddle. He doesn't, he just shows no reaction. The next play, throws the touchdown. He wins the game. Those are huge wins, crushing loss to Minnesota. And it was entertaining. It was on Sunday night. It was after the NBA championship. I give it to Russ, man. That was a grown up, big league, Hall of Fame game winning drive. And we talk about how important wins are, man. When you're in that position and you can pull out that win, that is a That is a gift. And him, and then of course Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James. Y'all, thanks for everything you did. I hope you guys got homes. Everybody got to see their family and sit on their own couch. Like I bet, Miami Heat, great series, great run. Los Angeles Lakers, great run. I hope you just got to sit on your couch today and like watch your own Netflix. Like I said, relax. Great job though. Great job, everybody in the NBA. It was awesome what they did. So I give them. But yeah, Russell Wilson and just the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is so easy to give Russell I tried not to. Every week deserves a game ball. Like
I know, right?
It just seems like okay, we see him one week, like oh man, he did this. It's almost like he should get a lifetime, a 2020, a lifetime achievement of game balls in the year 2020.
I tried to think of one, but man, I watched it. Yeah. Like, if it wasn't pouring down rain, if it was easy, but dude, it was miserable out there, and he never wavered. That guy is. Yeah. This is his legend season.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Steven. All right. Yeah.
Thanks, Steven.
Yeah. I gotta give mine to Chase Claypool. I think he was incredible. Yeah, he had 7 receptions, 110 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He also had a rushing touchdown. And so he had 4 touchdowns altogether. And wow, and it's Pittsburgh is wide receiver you. Right. It's to a point where, you know what? Hey, it's 1 year it could be Plaxico Burress, it could be Mike Wallace, it could be Antonio Brown. Yes, Mike Wallace. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. You know what's so funny? I didn't mean to say that, but that was really like comedic timing though on some real stuff. Because oh boy, y'all still paying for that man, ain't y'all? No, Antonio Holmes. My bad, Antonio Holmes. Yes,
Antonio Holmes.
Yes. Yep. They're wide receiver you.
Hey, first of all, we'll go back real quick. Why did we not bring Pittsburgh up in the Haskins discussion? I mean, he slides in there like.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a nice situation where it could potentially,
We got Byron Leftwich. Is he? I think he's coaching for him.
He had Tampa. He had Tampa. He had Tampa. He had Tampa. Yeah, Hines Ward. Yeah, and Chase Claypool is on the verge of becoming. And I even hate to say it like this, but Martavis Bryant was another one of those. So Pittsburgh has always have had these dynamic type of wide receivers, and you look at now, Chase Claypool is now in that quote unquote discussion. He's next up.
And I've always said that tells you a lot tells you a lot about Mike Tomlin. I love him as a coach, and people are hard on him because they don't really know what he coaches, but he coaches people because he has these guys and they are superstars, and you don't hear any problems, you don't hear anything, and then these guys leave and they vanish. Like between him and Big Ben, like there's got to be something there. Like these guys leave and they're not the same player. So yeah, you're right. No, that's a good choice, man. That kid had a ball game yesterday.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
That's fantasy football.
Hey, right, he blew up fantasy football. Yeah, and that was a good. Yeah, and that's another one where you look at Pittsburgh, another quietly,
they're really good.
Quietly leading this and the one of, like you said, the best division in the NFL in the AFC North.
When was the last time you were looking for? It's not this weekend, but when was the last time you were looking forward to Pittsburgh and Cleveland playing? Like, it's going to be like. I mean, then you throw Baltimore in there. Like,
yes, and I'm telling you, like I told people, I'm gonna pull that up. I kid you not, and I think I did this in the beginning of the season. I would not be surprised because Pittsburgh and Cleveland played the last game of the season on January the 3rd. I'll guarantee you that's probably I'm Charles Buckner. I guarantee that's going to be the Sunday night flex game. That's going to be the 820 of who's going to get into who gets in the playoffs.
Of course, though, it'll be week 20 or 21.
Oh yeah, because it probably won't be January 3rd. It might be February something. Right? It might be in February.
Oh my god!
Right? Right? We'll put it this way. If everything stays the same, and and Tennessee stay away from private schools, private property, stay away from private property. Well, communal spaces outside of their facilities. I can see that that potentially be the last game of the season, and the rematch, quote unquote, of this week will be pretty much the rematch. That final game of the season. I think this could be the two teams that'll make the playoffs. They could be vying for the North, or they could be vying for that six or seven spot.
It's crazy, man. Between those three teams, like it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, I guarantee. Yeah, I guarantee.
Man, I got to get everybody together and tell the Charles Barkley story one night. You guys will you got to be laughing so hard. Oh my God, what a fun guy. What a fun guy.
Yeah. So this has been this week's Overreaction Monday. Where can they find your social media, Jeff?
Oh man, on Facebook, Jeff Needs Sports, Jeff Needs Help. On Twitter at JHunt006. You can find me at Off the Ball Network. Do a lot of stuff on there. Every week I put out the NFL power rankings with my own with my own twist on it. Not I'm not trying to I do what I think. So that's a lot of fun. You can find me everywhere. I appreciate being on this show. I hope you find me on here more and more because this is just too much fun.
Yeah, I mean, we cut up on Mondays.
Oh man, it's the
right, week, man. Yeah, and we have to make Mondays fun.
That's right. I said that.
Now we're at a point we live in the East Coast, Jeff, and it's we're about to have a cold winter.
Oh, you ain't lying, brother.
We got to make the best of these times.
You know what? I like that. I like that mindset. I guess I look forward to. Yeah.
Yes.
I turn on my heater in my luxurious studio down here. Right. I warm up, and I have a Cobra Kai course, and I love it, man. It was a good time. Thanks,
I know, and I gotta gotta close the blinds before the show now. It's getting dark. This is an adjustment, but we're gonna make it do.
Shout out to Stephen Gillespie too, man. Thanks for all that.
Definitely huge shout out to Stephen for
breaking the game podcast.
Definitely appreciate him for coming on a post game show yesterday, and then being on his show last night.
That's right. Yeah.
But hey, we had a great time. But yeah, man, this has been this week's Overreaction Monday. We'll catch you guys next week.